Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Spider-Man.
Woo! What a rush!
In the last part we started off the final chapter. Now we're here in this random little machine area underneath a random warehouse. This is actually kind of generic, isn't it?
You gotta be kidding. Okay, recap. A couple of 100 feet underwater, electrified floors and walls, and deadly turrets pointing straight at me. Oh, my day just keeps getting better and better.
And better he does mean, because those electrified floors and walls, instant kill if you get touched by the electricity. And the lasers do home in on you, and they do a pretty decent chunk of damage, as you can see there.
Put someone's eye out with that.
The best way I can recommend going through this is to use your L1 targeting in order to, especially when there's a platform like that at a certain angle. And otherwise, spam the R2 button as soon as you jump and hope to God you get chained onto something. I really don't want to die because then I'll lose my armor. But if you don't have armor, don't worry about dying because you'll just restart at the beginning of this section. Though that still sucks. Don't get me wrong. Though if you're playing on easy mode, you don't have to worry about this at all. Easy and I think even kid mode. Change this area completely so that there's a simple catwalk going from the entrance to the exit. Which is one of the few times that there's a very mandatory change, not mandatory, major changes between difficulties. Usually it's like different, just a difference in enemy damage, your health, so on and so forth. But that's one of the few times they outright change the level design. Which, you know, I'm thankful because that when I first got to this level,
The heating bill for this place must be enormous. And I thought crime didn't.
I probably first got here when I was around 8 or 9. I got stuck here for a bit. And I wasn't playing on easy because kid mode was for kids and I didn't like easy. I'm a normal mode player no matter what game I play. Either way, we just hit that switch, which unlocked a door underneath the door we entered from. So we have to backtrack through this area, which is actually the hardest thing to do in this level. Why? Lasers hurt, and they have much more ample opportunity to hit you when you're going in the opposite direction. Admittedly, it's not that hard in retrospect, but this can be pretty tricky all the same. Have to admit though, love this music here. Mind you, I just think this entire game's soundtrack is really good. Not the best superhero game soundtrack out there, in fact, not the best game soundtrack in general. But it's still damn good. Tommy Tallarico knows what he's doing. Though, for some reason, I don't know why, maybe it's because they're made by the same developer or something, certain sound effects and songs in this game remind me of a Beyblade game I played on my Game Boy Advance as a kid. I forget which one it was. No, actually, no, I know which one it was. I just can't remember the title. It was the one that wasn't an RPG, the one that was kind of an isometric pseudo 3D Beyblade game. Some of you might know what I'm talking about, but I get instantly reminded of that whenever I hear some of the songs in this game. Either way, we just got the comic book for this section of the level, which is comic book number 27, Amazing Spider-Man number 2. Thankfully, going in this section the way you're supposed to, as in this way, is a lot easier than heading backwards in it because it's actually designed to be traversed in this direction. And I would say that was bad design, but they probably still kept it in such a way that you would have a way to get back. It's just the fact they made it a bit harder. Also, this is one of the few areas in What If mode that actually has a fairly significant change to it. What they did in What If mode is that there is a yellow submarine, almost ripped right out of a Beatles song, actually, that I guess one of the developers is piloting, and you have to beat it to the end in order to get a cheat code for infinite webbing. More or less, What If mode doesn't change all that much. Aside from that, the only major change I can remember off the top of my head that isn't like a texture change is in the helicopter chase level, there's a blimp you can get on to do as a bit of a shortcut. The What If mode doesn't really change that much. Most of it is just texture changes. Which, you know, that's kind of stupid, but at least they had some amount of fun with it. Like, one of my favorite changes. You might remember in the Venom chase level when he crashed into that building and ran through it. They run right through a jazzercise program. And I love that. The developers knew how to have fun with this, and I love that. Either way, we're done with that section. Hopefully you'll have some webbing, because you're going to need it coming up here. Trust me on that.
This must be where the fog is coming from. Who is behind all this?
You guys have probably figured out who's behind it since it's poorly foreshadowed and they almost outright see it twice. Either way, there's symbiotes below this thing, but I actually want to get up here pretty quick because as they saw in that little cutscene there, there's actually a spider armor up here, which is pretty good because this is actually the last section of level in the game. It's almost all boss fights from here on out, so might as well keep those so you don't get damaged. Also, if we fall down a bit, we can actually check the bottom of this spire for the next comic book number 28, which is, I think, Spider-Man 2099 Volume 1, or number 1, rather. Yeah, that's what it is. 2099's always been an interesting idea to me. I don't know why, and I especially like what they did with it in, to anyone who watches Ultimate Spider-Man, they did a bit of a mini-series in it called the Spider-Verse, which was essentially Spider-Man going all shattered dimensions and crossing over with various other versions of himself, like Spider-Girl, Petra. Though my favorite design was probably Spider-Man Noir, because that was just freaking cool.
We have a winner?
Spider-Man! I'm so happy to see you!
Black Cat, what are you doing? Who's behind? What's going on here?
Your guess is as good as mine. The guys in the ambulance must have drugged me because the next thing I knew I woke up here. You gotta get me out of here.
Okay, Cat, but how?
If you can somehow shut down the power, I can escape.
You got it, Cat.
And in order to shut down the power, the first thing we need to do is head over here and web that. That will unlock all the other doors, except for one, in the previous room. Because you may have noticed there was only one door that was glowing green, and that was this one. Now there's more of them. And they are ports A, B, and C. We need to do something in all of them, so let's head over to A first, because I feel like being alphabetic.
Bingo! If I read this right, this panel controls the exhaust ports. If I can jam the exhaust ports without stopping the flow of fog, it'll be like a banana in a tailpipe. That ought to blow the power, too. Step in the right direction, but not enough pressure.
Fun little fact, in What If mode, they actually changed the pipes to actually be bananas clogging a tailpipe. Which, you know, funny little joke there. What If mode is actually a nice little playthrough if you want to have some laughs, because there is some funny stuff in that. But it's not really worth it in the long run. If you can play it from the beginning, like using a cheat code, go for it. In fact, I think you need to play it using a cheat code. But if you miss out on it, you're not missing that much. But yeah, this level's pretty simple. Once you get to Cat, you just do this thing 3 times in a row.
Almost. This sucker is ready to blow.
Though I have to wonder, whoever's masterminding this, why did they put the only 3 things that could possibly destroy their plan in one place? In fact, why have them at all? I mean, I understand having a control system, but why have it in open access like this? That makes no sense. I mean, what was the name of the list? 152 rules for being an evil overlord? Follow that to the T, people. That way you can be undefeatable. I actually need to reread that list. That list is actually really funny. Either way, here's the 3rd one.
Yes, that does it!
Thanks, Spider. Whatever you did, it worked.
Hey, what else is a Spider-Man for? You go and get some help, Cat. I'll find out who's behind all this.
You got it. I'll be back.
Listen, whoever you are. No one can control the symbiotes. No one!
I need not control the symbiote, Spider-Man.
Doc Ock?
We will work as one. It is a new world. Humanity needs the skills that my technology will give them. Symbiosis is the only way.
I should have known a reformed Doc Ock was too good to be true.
A perfect world order. Those who cannot share my vision will be crushed by it.
Speaking of crushed, it's showtime, freaks. Ooh, I smell bad, symbiote, and it ain't me.
Bring it on, Grandpa!
Alone at last.
Let us end this, Spider-Man. You will never get past my barrier, Spider-Man.
He's right. I need to find some way to draw power away from his shield.
What's that? Doc Ock's the villain? It's not like they didn't disguise his voice and show his metallic arms like twice. God, this game's foreshadowing is horrible. Either way, the boss fight against Doc Ock is pretty simple. What happens is that he's in that shield and you cannot hit him at all during that, obviously. However, very slowly, these four machines will drop down, and if you shoot webbing at them, will raise more shields that you can jump over. However, those will be stealing power from his shield. Once you get all four, his shield will go down and you can damage him. It's actually a pretty simple fight. Though if I recall correctly, actually, yeah, I do recall correctly, there was actually a comic where Doc Ock actually started dating Peter's Aunt May. We actually had that at my middle school, along with the issue where, well, it was a bit of a collection. They had like two collections. One had that, and another one had the book where Gwen Stacy died. That was a weird middle school, but I loved it. If I recall, didn't Reed Richards also go to Doc Ock for help when Sue Storm was having some radiation issues or something? Either way, enough rambling. After you beat up Ock the first time, the comic book number 30 spawns for a very short time. If I was like a second later, it probably would have disappeared. That was comic book number 29, actually, my bad. Amazing Spider-Man number 3. This fight is really easy, honestly. The farther in you get, and by that I mean every single phase of 4 switches, he does change his attack pattern a bit. Like, first off, it's just thrusts, now it's multiple thrusts, and in the third phase he'll start slamming his claws down, which I think you're not supposed to jump during is the way to avoid that. But honestly, as long as you have the spider armor like I do, you should have more than enough health, because this fight is more or less timed for him. Web gauntlets, though, is the best way to go about damaging when you're up close, though. And grab as many web capsules as you can during this fight, because you're going to need a lot of webbing coming up. Not as much as you did with Mysterio, but you're still going to want a good amount. Now, I know Doc Ock was the villain of Spider-Man 2, but I honestly cannot remember much of Spider-Man 2 at all for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I haven't watched as much as Spider-Man 1 and shock for everyone, probably, Spider-Man 3. But, Either way, I actually failed at killing him in phase 2. It's actually very easy to kill him in the second phase if you're not going for the comic book especially. But I got trapped into phase 3, sadly. In fact, if I recall correctly, the movie game for Spider-Man 2, I think had a much harder Doc Ock fight. Though Spider-Man 2 still is one of my favorite jokes in comic book game history that Arkham Origins would also later use. Mysterio, hyped up for like the first 30 seconds before the fight, has like 6-7 health bars, 1 hit, and he's down. I always love it when games do that. Either way, as I stated, Doc Ock, not a very hard fight, and he shouldn't really give you any trouble. His third phase attack is the hardest one to avoid, but it's not a hard fight at all, really.
I am defeated. But end this way.
One down, one to go. Wonder how Venom's doing. Eddie, are you all right? Talk to me. Wake up, Brock. What'd you say? That's a sonic bubble in the middle of the room. Seeing as how the only two things that symbiotes hate are fire and sonics, I'm guessing Ock made it just in case Carnage tried to double-cross him.
What color do you please, Spider-Man?
red, just like you. Either way, as I mentioned last part, I believe, symbiotes are not only weak to fire, but sound. Best way to fight Carnage? Grab him and then kick him in. And then when he's in the middle, he'll actually try to escape, but if you just constantly mash the triangle button but don't hold it down, you can keep him trapped in there forever. If you're not going for the comic book that eventually shows up, this fight is very easy and he should never get a hit on you ever. Kind of disappointing, because Carnage is actually one of the more threatening Spider-Man villains in the concept, because unlike Venom, who's just more of a psychopath, this guy is straight up murderous with no real intent other than just having fun with it, from what I recall at least. Either way, you may have seen me pick it up there, but eventually in the middle, comic book number 30 does spawn. That is Amazing Spider-Man number 33. By the way, I love the voice work of Carnage in this game. It's so damn funny. While the game's voice acting has aged overall pretty well, Carnage is the one case where I'm like, you are overacting and enjoying every second of it. And I love it. But yeah, Carnage, not a hard fight at all. Shouldn't give you much trouble if you know this little way to cheese him. But he can be pretty annoying if you don't, because he hits like a truck, as you've seen here. Alright, that's both villains down. Let's see what happens now.
You are a born loser, Cletus Cassidy. Like I told Mysterio, no one can control the symbiotes. No one I've met, anyway. Take a breather, Spidey. It's over. Well, just another day in the life. Whoa! What the? Is that Hawk?
Final boss of the game technically is against the progenitor of nightmares, Monstrous. This thing terrified me as a kid. However, it's not really a boss fight. By the way, right here is comic book number 31. That is, I think, Amazing Spider-Man number 252. This boss fight is more or less an opposite of the chase levels we've had throughout the game. We need to stay away from him. If you're close to Ock for too long, it is an instant kill. You're just trying to escape, and how far you are into the escape sequence is measured by that radiation signal on the right. The farther up it is, the closer you are to the end. This is more or less just an escape sequence from Resident Evil by another form. However, you're not supposed to just run away from him. You have to swing. It's the only way you can get good enough speed to stay away from him for long. But this is honestly not that bad. It's kind of tense, yes, because there's a lot of times where he's right up next to you. You just feel him breathing down on you almost. But they do give you a little leeway. He does need to be close to you for like 1 to 2 seconds in order to kill you. Though this does go on a bit too long for its own good. But also, are we just gonna leave Cletus Cassidy there to die in this explosion, or... yeah, okay. Though, I'm trying to think, this isn't actually the only time Ock has fused with a symbiote. There was one time he fused with Venom for superior Venom, and then in, it was like, there was another Spider-Man game that had another symbiote that was some combination of Ock, a symbiote, and something else. Which is kind of odd, because this thing, I think, could have potential for, like, a movie. Because this is honestly a pretty terrifying villain from a design standpoint. Though it's more or less like another wild animal, like a lot of the villains can be for Marvel. Because that's more or less what the Abomination is. It's just a monster with a brain, unlike Hulk. And even then, there was the Grey Hulk, which was more or less just Bruce Banner in the Hulk's body. But yeah, the only real tricky parts of this section are when you have to climb up like that using R1, because if you do try to climb the wall, you will die. It's around now that this starts getting really tense, because now you have to fight the camera a bit more. Because before this, it was kind of like Crash Bandicoot. The camera was in front of you, or you would run towards the camera, yes, but things loaded in at a decent distance. But here, you're fighting the camera, you have no idea what's going to be ahead of you, especially around corners like that, except comic book number 32 is there. That is the last comic book in the game, and that is Amazing Fantasy number 15. And for getting all the comic books, we actually unlock a new costume, Spider-Man 2099. Yeah, you actually unlock a good amount of costumes just by playing the game. I think a total of 4 or 5. And then the other ones are unlockable either through hard mode or the training missions. And anyway, once you make it here, you're more or less done. Just zip up here and Don't die right at the end, because that would suck. And no, what do you mean? No, it totally hasn't happened to me. What are you talking about?
After all that, it was the symbiote that saved Ock. You've got to be kidding. Perfect end to a perfect day. Huh? What the?
It's a good thing Black Cat gave me a call, son.
Looks like just in time.
Hey, Spidey, can you get us Captain America's autograph?
Oh, brother.
Punisher, do you have any threes?
Go fish. So, nice of you to join us for once, Spidey.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was out saving the world. Beating your guys at cards ought to be pretty easy.
Your spider sense won't save you here. Look who's talking, Daredevil. You've been looking at my cards all night. I don't need to look at your cards, Punisher. Your bluffs are so obvious.
Okay. Let's keep this a nice, friendly, clean game.
Who keeps inviting this guy?
Hey, will you guys keep it down?
Hey, loosen up, kids! I'm on fire!
Wait, hold on. Time out. All of you guys were working together, and you still couldn't take down Spider-Man?
It's not my fault. Doc Ock's plan was horrible! Everyone knows you can't control the symbiotes!
Hey, wait! So, I'm a rhino, you're a scorpion, and he's an octopus. What's a Mysterio?
So, Rhino, you got any threes?
Hey! Hey, I got a bingo! Ha ha! You guys think you're so smart, but I won! Ha! Who's your daddy, Doc Ock? Ha ha ha! Victory is mine! You're always laughing at me, but who's crying now, huh? Ha 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 ha! Ha! Wait a minute, I made a mistake.
And ladies and gentlemen, rather sudden at that with that ending, that is Spider-Man for the PlayStation. How is it? It's still a fine game in my eyes. Sure, it has some signs of aging. That camera especially does not do you any favors. But I still think it's a fun game. Soundtrack's pretty catchy. The humor is spot on for Spider-Man in my eyes. I love the game's dialogue. And What If mode does at least add some extra stuff to it. If you want to play it, it is on the PlayStation and Game Boy Color, Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and Microsoft Windows. Though I doubt you'll be able to run it on like Windows 10. There's actually still a good amount of stuff you can do in the game too, because there is What If mode and such, and then there's all the extra costumes you can get. Let's go through those actually. I know there's Spider-Man 2099, which you get for unlocking every comic throughout the game, which is double damage, more or less. There's the symbiote suit, which is what Spider-Man's wearing right there actually, which you get from finishing the game on any difficulty level, which is unlimited webbing, I believe. And I've heard it does double damage, but I'm not sure about that. There is the Captain Universe outfit, which you get for beating the game on hard, which is double damage, unlimited webbing, and invincibility, which is awesome. There's the Spider-Man Unlimited costume, which is beating the game a second time on any difficulty, which gives you the power of invisibility when you press L2, so more or less enemies will not see you. There's the Scarlet Spidey and Ben Reilly outfits, which we got for beating Rhino and Venom the first time through. There is the Quick Change Spidey outfit, which you need to get 10,000 points or more in the zipline training course, which is really hard. That's actually a detrimental one, too, because it limits you to 2 web cartridges. There's the Peter Parker costume, which you get for finding the Craven room in the item hunt training course, which also limits you to 2 web cartridges. And then there's the Amazing Bagman, which is only available through the cheat code, which I'll go over in a moment, which also limits you to 2 web cartridges, though that's a pretty funny costume. And there's also a lot of cheat codes, so if you want to just unlock everything, just input Stan Lee's name backwards. There's a lot of cheats you can use. I recommend you look at them, because some of them are pretty funny. Like the one for the Amazing Bagman is AMZBGMN. A lot of them are just like corruptions of names. Though I love the limited webbing code. I think it's like Strudel. Now, in terms of if I'll ever do the sequel to this, Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, probably. I need to practice it a bit first, and I haven't played that game in an even longer time than this. But I'll probably do it sometime down the line, because I think it's a decent sequel from what I remember. And in terms of the next superhero game I do, it'll probably be Batman Arkham Asylum, honestly, because I really do need to play through that again. But that won't be for a while. But in terms of what's next, we're not done revisiting franchises and genre. We are going back to a certain purple-haired dancing girl next time because, well, for me at least, her next game just got its release date, so I might as well. And yeah, that's about it. Sadly, though, if you were hoping that I might show off Spider-Man in Pro Skater 2 or What If mode, I'm not good at Pro Skater, so I can't unlock Spider-Man anyway without cheat codes, and I don't feel like playing through this game a second time for what are more or less minor changes. I know there was a video uploaded not too long ago recently on YouTube that was more or less all of What If mode and its changes and even some of the bonus stuff I didn't show off. And I forget who did it, though. You probably find it just by looking up Spider-Man PlayStation Extra video or something like that. But I recommend checking him out because that video actually gets pretty informative about all the extra stuff you can do. But with that, I'm going to end this off here. By the way, I still love that Spider-Man theme. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play. See you guys then!